Hi and welcome to Rally Jameel. I'm Fraser, this is Alex. We're here to help you get through it with a little bit of training.
And for those of you who missed the opportunity to join us in person at the weekend, do not worry because you can watch back these videos anytime you want to learn more and more each day. When competing in Rally Jameel, we'll supply you with all the equipment you need to keep you safe inside and out of the desert. Let's have a look. Let's then go over the equipment that we'll find in the boot of our car. So, shovel. Obviously, this is going to help us move sand should we get stuck in soft sand or anywhere for that matter. Then we've got our fire extinguishers. So to operate the fire extinguisher, make sure that you're pointing it in a safe direction, preferably in the direction that you need to use it. Remove the pin, which is attached on the side. You'll see there's a pressure gauge which will be in the center to say that that fire extinguisher is pressured. Literally pick it up. Once you've removed the pin, pull the handles together and direct it into the base of the fire. Okay, moving on then, we've got the sand ladders. We'll find out a little bit more about them later. And then we've got our first aid kit. First aid kit is always essential to keep in a car, whether you're on a rally or not. In front of that, the shackles and the rope. Beside that, we've got the gloves. Gloves, of course, come in very handy when you're changing a tyre, not just because it's dirty work, which I'm sure we don't mind getting a little bit dirty, but of course the wheel nuts can be very hot, so keep that in mind when you're touching any part of the vehicle should you be stuck. Then we've got water containers. Water containers, we need to make sure that they are full at all times because we need to stay hydrated as much as possible. And then moving on to the compressor. It's a battery operated compressor, so you'll see the positive and negative charges at the front. And last but certainly not least, we've got the warning triangle. That will not only warn us should there be a breakdown on the road between stages, but it's also a really good way to indicate where you're located should you actually have a problem and be stuck in a bowl somewhere. So there's everything that you need to keep yourself safe and sorted while you're competing on Rally Jameel. Now let's have a look at the perfect seating position for while you're competing on Rally Jameel. So the first thing we want to do when we get into the car is check to see how close or far away we are from the steering wheel. This is one of the most important things. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take my wrist, use that as an indicator and put it on top of the steering wheel. So that shows me that my arm is completely straight. I don't want a straight arm, I want a bent arm. Why? Because should there be some sort of incident, I want my arm to act as a natural suspension. Because if I have straight arms and something happens, I will do this, and that will increase the likelihood of developing something like whiplash because there's no suspension. If I'm closer to the wheel and my arms are bent, then you can see when you have an impact, it's your arms that take the natural, are used as natural suspension. So what I'm going to do then, I'm going to make sure that I bring my seat closer, put my hand on top of the steering wheel again, make sure that when I'm rested I have a bent arm, and I have a bent arm. If I do need to alter the steering wheel, then most steering wheels will have a lever down below which allows me to raise or lower, and it also allows me to pull the steering wheel closer and further away. So let's lock that into position. I can see that I've got nice bent arms and I've got my hands on the steering wheel at a 2/4 position with my thumbs on the outside. The reason this is so important is because it gives you full control as you're turning the steering wheel. As you can see, the steering wheel is at a slight angle, so it actually moves further away from you the more you turn the steering wheel itself. Also, it's got that nice natural suspension and it gives me full control wherever I go in the desert. So now we know that we've got a good steering position and our hands are on the wheel in the correct place. Now we want to make sure that we are able to press the brake in an emergency. And the reason this is slightly different is that the brake pedal could possibly go straight to the floor. So what you need to do is pop your foot behind the brake pedal and make sure that you can touch the floor behind. That way, if you do need to press the brake hard, you have full control of the brake. Also, making sure that your knees are bent. So I've got my steering position covered and I know that I can depress the brake as much as possible. But what about the rest of my body? Well, as you can see, my seat is very far back. And as much as this feels comfortable, it's actually no good for you because I have no support over my shoulders and there's no support for the back of my head. So what we're going to do is we're going to just raise the rear of the seat up. Okay. And now, while I'm sitting in the car, my shoulders are being protected by the back of the seat and my head is being protected by the headrest. So there we go, we're almost ready, just one more thing to do. So Fraser, we're moving from one sort of terrain to another. It's a lot softer, so what do we need to do now?
First thing we're going to do is look at reducing the tyre pressures. The idea of reducing tyre pressures in sand is to give us a bigger footprint. So we'll use this gauge and we will remove the valve cap, give you that to keep, and then we use this and this to reduce tyre pressures to the level that we want them reading on the gauge. As a general rule, half the tyre pressure that you normally have on a road car should be enough.
So basically know what the pressure is anyway. When you move into soft sand, then you'll be able to identify half.
About half. It's not rocket science, half is enough. Thank you very much. Don't forget to replace your dust caps. Of course, you may not have the option of H2, H4 and L4. You may be all-wheel drive, in which case you don't have to worry about it because the car will operate in all-wheel drive just as easily. It may be a different switch, it may be a different lever. You may not have to do anything. Check your own car and be sure of how to operate the system. Right, so we've let the tyre pressures down so that we can get into the desert smoothly. The best way to use that, of course, is to go into four-wheel drive. And it will vary from car to car, but on this car, we simply turn the lever from H2, which is driving the rear wheels, to H4, which is driving all the wheels. By driving all the wheels, we send power across all four corners of the car and allow us to have additional traction. We use the gear stick normally, but we use H4 or a lever or a different kind of switch depending on the car you're in. Oh dear, I think we're stuck. Let's have a look. Yeah, maybe I shouldn't have been trying quite so hard on this one. Let's see. Can you have a look on that side, Alex?
Yeah.
See if you can see my feet. Yes?
Yeah, I can, just.
Right, in that case, we're not completely stuck. So what we need to do is just have a walk around and make sure we've got somewhere to go. This is kind of looking okay, but we'll take some sand out from there. And I think to help the front, we'll put some sand ladders in. All right?
Yep, sounds good. I'll get the sand ladders.
And I'll get the shovel. Shall we do front sand ladders first?
going to leave one there.
Right, so we put one here. I'll give you a place to put the ladder by just clearing a little bit of sand from behind that tyre, and then we should be able to feed the sand ladder underneath there, and that will give the tyre somewhere to go.
Excellent. So basically what you're looking for is for it to grab some traction against.
I need it to lift out of the hole that it's in,
Yeah.
and be able to move.
Okay.
So I'll come round and we'll clear the other one. Let me see that. So you can see that you don't need to have the shovel. If the sand's soft, 2 or 3 armfuls of sand is more than enough to clear that out. Okay?
So
Yep.
just remind me, why are we not trying to put it forward so we can progress forwards?
We've already got stuck on the way up. We're not going to go any further. And as we can see, we weren't going back without digging some space. And the helicopter's not working.
Oh no.
Helicopters don't work. So we'll clear some of this bit there. The idea is to give the wheel somewhere to go. If we can make some space, the wheel will move.
What makes you think if we can't get up it the first time that we'll get up it on another try?
We'll find another line and we'll have a look. Can you pop the sand ladder's bag in just so I don't drive over it? Often we lose stuff that way.
And I tell you what, I'll hold the
You'll keep the shovel. Right.
and I'll keep an eye from a safe distance.
So I think that looks okay now. So what we want to do is just to drive gently onto the sand ladder to pick the car out of the hole, recheck the surroundings, and then drive.
Okay, so we can see that it's clear underneath. Fraser's getting back in the car, popping on his seatbelt, and then what I'm listening for is the revs. How much power do we need, Fraser, to
As
drag ourselves?
little as possible.
Okay, so we don't want to floor it, we don't want as much power.
Just want enough power to climb onto those ramps.
Okay,
And I'm not coming off them yet.
okay. Yeah, so we can see, we can also hear that there's just a little bit of throttle being used, and straight away there was absolutely no issues whatsoever getting those front tyres to end up on the sand ladders.
Okay, so we're up on the sand ladder, we're out of the hole at the front, we've climbed out of the hole at the back, we're still clear underneath, and there's no obstacle behind us. We can now exit and tidy up.
Okay. Is there anything we have to be cautious about when we're travelling backwards if we're on a long, steep incline?
Always have a look beforehand, make sure there are no rocks, tufts of grass, people, anything that you've left behind, shovels, tools. Just make sure all of that's well clear and gently back in a straight line.
So basically, don't forget your co-driver.
Don't forget your co-driver, yes. Okay, so straight back in a straight line, nice and easy. The car rolls and the momentum carries it down.
You made that look so easy.
And that's how to use the sand ladders and get yourself out of trouble. Last but by no means least, co-driver, shovel, sand ladders. All back in the car before you go.